All right, let's jump right in. We're talking about a project that could seriously redraw the energy map for a huge part of the world. Imagine one of the planet's largest oil refineries, built in a super strategic port and backed by some of the biggest names in the energy game. This is the story of the Gwadar Aramco refinery. First things first, let's talk about the money, because this number really sets the stage. The estimated price tag for this whole thing is a staggering 12 billion US dollars. That's not just an investment, folks. That is a massive, monumental bet on the future.
So what is this thing exactly? Well, at its core, it's a team-up between the Saudi energy giant, Aramco, and a group of Pakistani state-owned companies. The plan? To build a massive oil refinery and a whole petrochemical complex right alongside it. You know, the facilities that make all the essentials like plastics and fertilizers. The goal is to turn the port of Gwadar into a world-class energy hub.
To really get a handle on what's at stake here, we have to look at the sheer scale and ambition. This is so much more than just a single building. Just look at the processing power we're talking about. The plan is for 300,000 barrels of oil per day. And as you can see from this chart, that absolutely blows the capacity of Pakistan's other major refineries completely out of the water. We're talking about a facility that's on a whole other level. And this refinery isn't just some standalone project out in the middle of nowhere. Nope. It's designed to be the crown jewel, the anchor of a massive 88,000-acre industrial zone they're calling Gwadar Oil City. It's an entire area purpose-built for one thing, processing petroleum from the Persian Gulf. Of course, a project this huge, it doesn't happen on its own, right? It requires some seriously powerful players. So, who exactly is making this multi-billion-dollar vision a reality? The partnership is really a strategic handshake between Saudi Arabia and Pakistan. You've got Saudi Aramco on one side, bringing the cash and their world-leading technical know-how. And on the other side, you've got a whole group of Pakistan's major state-owned energy companies providing the local groundwork. For Saudi Arabia, this is about way more than just profit. It's about locking in a huge, long-term customer and getting a foothold in a vital new trade corridor. This quote from Aramco kinda gives you a peek into how they're framing this whole thing publicly. It's not just a business deal, right? It's a tool for major economic development, a way to, as they say, advance human progress. But, the road from a cool idea to actually building something this massive has been anything but smooth. This project has a really interesting history of starts, stops, and a whole lot of strategic rethinking. Let's walk through the journey. The first agreement was signed with a ton of media attention back in 2019. But by 2021, a shaky global economy basically put the whole thing on ice. Then, in 2023, boom, it was back on, officially revived after Pakistan offered up some new incentives to get things moving again. And that brings us to today, where it's deep in the planning stages. So, after all that drama, why bother? Why go through all this trouble? Well, for Pakistan, the potential payoff is just immense. This isn't just another infrastructure project. It's seen as a total game changer for the country's entire energy landscape. Okay, the first big reason is capacity. That 300,000 barrels a day means a huge boost to their domestic refining. It gives Pakistan the power to produce its own gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel on a scale they've never seen before. And that leads us right to this number, an estimated $3 billion in annual savings. Think about it. By refining crude oil at home instead of importing expensive finished fuels, Pakistan could seriously ease the pressure on its foreign currency reserves. That's a huge deal. And beyond the big picture economics, there's the human element. The project is expected to create over 4,500 jobs, which would be a massive economic boost for the Balochistan region, one of the least developed provinces in Pakistan. This slide really just lays it all out, the before and after. You're looking at a shift from depending on expensive imports to having real energy security, from having very little domestic production to creating a brand new source of valuable petrochemicals. And maybe most importantly, turning a constant drain on foreign cash into huge annual savings. But here's where it gets really interesting. To fully understand the Gwadar refinery, you have to zoom out. This project doesn't exist in a bubble. It's actually a critical piece of a much, much larger geopolitical puzzle. And that puzzle is called the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, or CPEC. It's this massive collection of infrastructure projects designed to connect China directly to Pakistan's coast.
Now, even though the refinery is a Saudi-Pakistani deal, the fact that it's so deeply tied into CPEC creates this powerful strategic link between Riyadh, Islamabad, and Beijing. Okay, so here's how it's all designed to work. Crude oil ships in from the Gulf and docks at Gwadar. It gets processed right there at the new Aramco refinery. Some of it supplies Pakistan's domestic needs, and then the rest, the surplus, gets exported overland, straight to Western China. It's a whole new energy corridor. The strategic importance here is just huge. For China, this new route is a potential solution to what they call their Malacca dilemma. It lets them bypass the crowded and vulnerable sea lane where most of their energy currently has to pass through. For Saudi Arabia, it locks in the world's biggest energy buyer as a long-term partner. It basically cements the economic and strategic ties between all three countries and makes Gwadar a true economic powerhouse. And so that brings us to the big question at the end of all this. With so much money, so much ambition, and so much geopolitics all wrapped up into one project, this is way more than just a refinery. It's a calculated, high-stakes gamble that could fundamentally change how energy flows across Asia. The only question left is, will it actually pay off?